All right, that's better.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, here we go. All right, welcome everybody. This is the Marvel Minute. I am Brandon, as always, joined by Trevitt. Trevitt, how we doing, man?
Not bad. What's going on?
Nothing. Coming to you guys on Infinity War weekend here to talk a little Hunt for Wolverine, a character that wasn't in Infinity War movie anyway at all. So yeah, I thought because of the week it was, the Thanos book was definitely going to win out. That didn't happen. And what was the other one we put up there? It was in it was a tight race. No, it wasn't Spider-Man because it wasn't a Spider-Man week.
Boy,
I really forget. Like
I'm drawing a blank too.
But
drawing a blank.
yeah, anyway, we're going to tell you guys all about, while Trevitt checks, The Hunt for Wolverine #1. I'm going to get into the credits here. Charles Soule is the sole writer of both stories in this issue, but we got a double dose of art team. We got the first team for the main story of David Marquez, Rochelle Rosenberg, and then the second backup story is Paulo Sequeira, Walden Wong, and Ruth Redmond. So that's the team making up the book and the two different, basically stories you get here. What was the third one?
It was Mighty Thor 706.
Yeah, Thor. So yeah, we're here to talk about these two books. The first one, well, not two books, one book with two stories. The first story, there's a little more meat to than the second story there, which is really just kind of a setup, but let's talk about it. We got guess who's back here? Logan. He's really been back since September, and we've been seeing him in various issues with one-page teases. But all the other people in the Marvel universe seem to slowly be finding out right now as well. So in true comic book fashion, we're going to tune into this one shot that spins out into 4 different minis that follow it to see if we can keep up with what Logan is up to. Here it all starts. So let's get ready to pop our claws as we tell you about Hunt for Wolverine #1. The issue starts with the Reavers actually ascending on Alberta, Canada, as they have this great grand plan. This narrator is telling us to basically steal Wolverine's statue, tomb that everyone kind of thinks he's encased in, and basically sell it or melt it or get rid of it for money. That's their big plan because they are beat up. They are rusty, and all their tech is just like shit right now. The last I remember seeing them, I don't know if they've been in a story since, was an Old Man Logan story. I don't know, 10 issues back or so.
When he was in Alaska, right?
Yeah. That's the last time I remember the Reavers popping up, and he pretty much I don't know, whooped their ass. So,
they were not these particular ones, but Reavers were in a Jean Grey issue. I think it was number 2 or 3.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean they come and go randomly, but they seem to be in bad shape. Lately, they've fucked up a bunch of jobs, so they haven't been getting paid, which means their tech is all shit right now. So they're dealing with what they can, and basically walk into, if you know anything about this Wolverine story lately, there's this cabin in the woods of Alberta that they have his adamantium encased body in. It's kind of like on this pedestal that they make a joke about later. And people can go pay their respects there. The bad guys aren't really supposed to know about it, but they've discovered this and they're walking on in. So yeah, they set off these secret alarms, obviously. The X-Men Gold team comes popping up to confront the Reavers, and this obviously then leads to a conflict between the two groups, and then we start hitting some flashback material. Did I gloss over anything there? Anything you want to mention or bring up?
No, you got it all.
Yeah, that's about it. That's the beginning 5 or 6 pages. Then we kind of get into the stuff that's a little more interesting, if you ask me, and we flash back to some vaguely titled flashback called Earlier, which is just after Wolverine's death, where various people are brought to say their goodbyes to Wolverine, the people that were close to him. We get a nice scene with Cyclops, kind of, you kind of have that moment with somebody that you hated towards the end of their life, but you're having your what ifs and kind of feeling bad. That's what Cyclops is doing. And then Mr. Fantastic comes by. He kind of feels bad because Wolverine came to him before he went off on his last adventure in the death of Wolverine, see if he could help fix him. And Mr. Fantastic was like, well, if you give me some time, I might be able to help you out, but it's not like something I can do right away.
Wolverine's not good at sitting still.
Yeah. So Wolverine went off and died, and then Mr. Fantastic's kind of pissed at himself right now. If you ask me, this is the foreshadowing to later on in the story I'll bring up when we hit that flashback, but I think he kind of ends up figuring out a way, which is why Wolverine is back, if you ask me. But anyway, we jump back while this flashback occurs, kind of wraps up to the Mutant and Reaver story, the X-Men Gold Team versus the Reavers. And it kind of comes full circle, and you see that the fact that the Reavers are trying to bust open this statue to get Wolverine out of the center of it. They know he's encased inside, or think he is. And when they do finally succeed and kind of split this down the middle, one of them's kind of got some tech to help do it. They realize it's empty, and Wolverine hasn't been in there for at least an extended period of time at this point. So yeah, if you remember the Legacy issue, that was kind of how, that came full circle. You saw the tease with Jean going there, and she went to go, say her prayers or have a moment with Wolverine in the adamantium, and he was already busted out of that. We get the answers to how all that happened here after we see what the Reavers find out, and that is Kitty Pryde is our answer, and she basically phased him out of there. And then the X-Men decided to bury him proper because they just, I don't know, long story short, weren't really all right with just leaving him in this cabin encased in this adamantium, which is the reason he died.
And those are the only people who knew where he was, where he was buried.
Yeah, like his closest friends. We got Kitty Pryde, Colossus, Cyclops, Storm, and Beast. So those are supposed to be the only people that know. Jubilee's here, Dupe.
Firestar, I think.
Is that Firestar or Jean Grey? I couldn't tell who was.
No, it's either Firestar. Yeah, I think it's Firestar. It's not.
Yeah, can't, because she wouldn't have been back from the dead at this point, right? Yeah, because this is before it says.
Yeah, because there she is.
It's the one problem with these vaguely titled flashbacks. But yeah, Cyclops is alive at this time too. So yeah, this is way back.
Yeah.
So yeah, they bury him. They say their goodbyes. They go off. I don't know. It's kind of like we then get this confusing scene towards the end. Where we flash back to today and then now. So today you just kind of see Kitty Pryde sitting where he's supposed to be buried, having a beer, and she kind of sees, I don't know what she sees. Can you explain what this is in the woods? Is this like a hole he cut through wood? Or what is this that like catches her attention that makes her think he's not in there? Can you tell from the art?
She reaches down.
Yeah, I know she reaches down, but she like looks off in the distance.
Because I think she can't.
She thinks somebody's watching her.
I don't think she can feel him down there.
Yeah, I was a little lost at this part, and she's like, "Oh, Kitty." So yeah, she sticks her arm down there. She realizes there's no body.
Yeah,
and then we flash back to what it says is now, right now, and what looks to be Wolverine killing just some dude in a business suit.
Assassinating someone, maybe.
Yeah. So
a black unitard.
yeah, that's what's I kind of had my doubts that this was the real Wolverine. Like maybe this is a clone. Somebody got a hold of some of him, because they bring up the word, we don't want his body in the wrong hands, because they're going to clone him about 6 different times in this issue. So I don't think this is the Wolverine we've been following in the end of random Marvel issues they've been including him in. That's just a random guess, other than
I don't know,
by like hints in the story I've been getting. I don't know. And my mind goes right to the movie that just happened, the Logan movie with the 2 fucking Wolverines running around. So yeah, that's really how it ends, with him killing this guy and then sitting on, I don't know if it's a jail bench or just where he killed this guy. There's some bench there and just keeps popping his claws in and out. Um, that's really how this wraps up. And then we get our backup with Tony in Stark Labs repairing his Iron Man armor, and somebody going through his house trying to get down to him. It ends up being Kitty, and she wants to recruit Iron Man and the old squad for hunting down the Wolverine's body. They never really allude that he's alive. They're just like, we got to find his body. They're not really sure.
Yeah.
And then the last part of it is Lady Deathstrike tease, where she finds out the one Reaver that escaped gives her a heads up that Wolverine is not in the statue, possibly alive. She's like,
Daredevil too.
Let me find out. Oh yeah, the Daredevil one I forgot about. That was probably my favorite one, even though that's not the book I'm interested in following.
That's the Charles Soule mini. Mini
with Misty Knight, right?
Yeah, with Daredevil, Misty Knight, and a couple other Daredevil characters.
And then you got the Tom Taylor one that spins out with RB Silva, Adamantium Agenda. That's going to be Iron Man, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Spider-Man. The Claws of a Killer. It looks like Sabretooth and Bacon are going to be joining Lady Deathstrike. And then Mystery of Madripoor is all like the X-Men ladies headed off there to see if Wolverine's hiding out.
Two of them sound like, okay, I can see this, but then the other two just sound strange. I mean, they sound. I mean, all these people would be looking for him, but there's just one's a horror and one's like a noir mystery one. It just sounds so fucking weird.
Yeah. So your mileage may vary about what's coming next. I know a lot of people kind of are gravitating towards the Tom Taylor one. It's probably the best lineup of characters and maybe the most consistent writer of the group they've given you there.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm gonna check out the Soul one.
I'll check out that was the one out of all the teases they're giving us in this book I was most interested in story wise. It just seemed kind of the coolest. You know what I'm saying? Like, just what the hell is Daredevil doing in all this? And that kind of interests me for that reason alone. But yeah, we're at the end of things here, so we'll tell you what we think as far as buy, borrow, or forget goes. Yeah, this was a $5.99 joint, kind of setting up 4 different miniseries coming. I kind of joked with Trevitt earlier in the week. It was the best issue of X-Men Gold I've read in a while. I wish they would have just put it in X-Men Gold, charged a normal price, and kind of numbered them like Hunt for Wolverine that way, instead of doing this mini thing. Like, put it just in the X-Men books. That feels like a more roundabout way of doing it. But I don't know. This is somewhere between borrow and forget for me. I'm going to talk myself into one of the two by the time I'm done here. I liked the parts filling in the story we didn't know. So like the flashbacks and like the present day stuff where they kind of discover he is he's totally gone. The Reaver stuff, I could do without. They're not just a super interesting villain to me. I did kind of like that Old Man Logan story they were in, more just for its all-out brutality. But
that was a crazy story.
Yeah, it was. It was one of my favorite in that run. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna say borrow, but it's real close to forget for me. If you're interested in any of these mini series coming up, I would say this is gonna be closer to the buy side of things for you. If you don't have much interest in them like I do, it's closer to the forget side. I'm still kind of leaning on the fence if I'm going to follow the Tom Taylor book or not. I'm just iffy about it. I think I just want to deal with regular Wolverine when he comes back and not deal with all this Hunt nonsense and kind of guessing which book most of the important stuff's going to go down in, and either being really disappointed I guessed wrong, or kind of where I'm getting at with that, or just kind of happy I guessed right, and it's okay, just because you're not going to get a whole lot of Wolverine out of it from the way it seems. I wish I knew which one this Wolverine killing the business suit was going to be in the most, because that would be the one I would read.
Yeah,
that was a cool part of the book too. But yeah, I have my doubts. That's actually the Wolverine we've been following in these like teases they've been throwing in Spider-Man and Iron Man and other random issues throughout the months. That's kind of where my brain is. I think Mr. Fantastic also, when either figured something out and helped him out of there before he disappeared, which is why nobody knows.
That means he'd be walking around alive.
There's some interesting things. Yeah, there's some interesting things. And I wish they would just kind of take a more head on instead of alluding to it all, this issue. So that's kind of my beefs with it. It's real close to forget, but I'm going to give it a borrow because I did enjoy some of it, and the art was pretty good throughout the whole thing. It was fun to look at and see, and it was the best issue of X-Men Gold I've ever read. So there's that. What do you think? I'm going to go with borrow ultimately.
You know, it's not exactly what I thought it was going to be, but it was a really good issue of X-Men Gold, which is funny because Marquez is going to be working on X-Men Gold at some point during the wedding and shit. I liked, you know, the fight was cool. It looked great. The art looks fantastic. It's David Marquez. What can you say? I've never seen Rochelle Rosenberg color his art before, but I think she did a really good job. Because usually it's Justin Ponser who does his colors. The Mr. Fantastic stuff was cool.
Yeah,
I think, you know, if you did bring him, if you fucked up, if he was walking around all this time since before Secret Wars, or I mean, maybe that's why, like, you know, he doesn't have to come back because he sees Old Man Logan's there, and he's like, all right, they don't really need me. They got a Wolverine for a little while or something.
I can take a vacation extendedly.
Yeah, did his own thing. He likes to wander, so maybe he wandered for a while. It's only been a couple of years, I think, even in continuity time. Yeah, it was all right. You know, I mean, it was what it was supposed to be. It was, you know, kicking off the Hunt for Wolverine miniseries. That's basically what the intention was with this issue, and he did it. It wasn't anything like too incredible. Like, I was excited to read it, but once I read it, I was like, you know, it's good and it's well written and everything. It's got great art, but it's just not as cool as I thought it was going to be. That's kind of a bummer. It did have.
I was really hyped for it and really let down. Kind of is where I'm ultimately at with it. I wanted just more Wolverine.
I don't think we've seen some of these Alpha Flight characters in a very, very long time. Like normally we see the ones like Sasquatch and Puck. And Captain Marvel, but we don't see these guys. We never see them. Oh boy, but yeah, that's cool. I like how they linked it to Marvel Legacy, the first issue with Jean Grey in the end. That basically had the same page, her standing in front of the statue saying "Welcome back."
Yeah, she was. I was like, who the hell is this narrator throughout? And then it turned out to be young Jean. I was all right with that by the end of the issue too. That was kind of cool.
The whole book.
Yeah,
I thought it was Kitty, right?
Really, I thought it ended up being young Jean.
Yeah, it's Kitty while she's sitting at the grave drinking a beer. She's telling the story.
Oh man, I missed that.
That's why, you know, that's the flashback is a fight, and then it says today, and that's like after the fight with the Reavers. She's sitting at the grave and she's telling Wolverine the story of what happened, and then, you know, she lays down and she's like, "Fuck, he's not even here," and then they flash to Wolverine. And then they got all the X-Men standing above like, shit, he's not here. What the fuck happened? And then all the stuff with people hunting for him. So, you know, it did what it was supposed to. It was a borrow for me, I guess. I don't know if I could tell. It doesn't have anything too crucial to spend $6 on it. But
that's the kicker.
But it was a decent read. It was a decent read. It's not bad or anything. It's just not like, it's not essential. You could just read the miniseries and not have to read this. Pick the one you want to read, and that's it.
That's what I'm saying. If you got a hankering for some Wolverine, you're really not going to get too much of that here kind of filled for you. That's where I was the most let down in it. It does an all right job of setting up the minis. So if you're really interested in those minis coming out, I would get this. Other than that, I might avoid it. And if you're waiting for Wolverine to come back, I would wait for his regular series whenever that comes out to start proper. And they'll fill you in on everything you need to know, basically. I'm sure. So we're going to wrap things up here, guys. I got the poll up late last week, but it got, for some reason, more votes than it usually gets. So I don't understand the internet's reasoning. Maybe it was the book choices that inspired people or not, but I'm going to try to get that up on Monday, and I'll retweet it throughout the week and get your vote in. Let us know what you want to hear about. You can find that at Beamer3660. Trevitt always does retweet it, and you can find him at Trev, right? Yeah, I finally got it down. And yeah, we're gonna wrap things up this week, guys. So peace out, hit us up, and we'll talk next week. Later.
Peace.